the first time we met?
I've actually never seen a straight do that before, ever.
Hi everyone, Jesse here with Canine Perspective, and we're back with another highlight video. This one was with a 6-month to 7-month-old puppy. Her name's Ruthie, client referral. And standard nervous case, whenever something moves, she'll bark like within the home. If a guest comes over, she'll be barking, and then she settles down, then the guest moves and she starts barking, kind of overreacting with the barking, like kind of easily startled, hard to come to a stop. So pretty standard stuff. With a case like this, the idea or the theory is formal discipline through e-collar, around the heel exercise, which I always talk about, helps settle the brain down. And I'm going to show a number of clips from the owners of them describing the behavior, and then me, of course, just kind of going through the thought process in terms of how we would go about addressing it.
The big things are she's a really poor walker,
Okay.
like very hard, easily distracted. Even for a puppy, it's hard to get her to walk.
Sure.
The second big thing is because she was not socialized that much because of quarantine, she's super like barks at everybody in the hall, outside.
In the house?
In the house.
Okay.
We can't have people over or have
It's
people
hard.
outside.
She's gotten to know a couple people, like she's lived with my sister and her husband because they've been around more. But yeah, it's kind of a problem.
Okay.
We would like
Yeah, it sounds like it's a pretty standard case. Nothing out of the ordinary here. You do have a little bit of a nervous dog, all that barking behavior. So like right when that little girl came up, her tail went up, she jumped back, kind of like that was like, I'm unsure about you. It's all nervousness. Okay. So I'm not too worried about that. That may actually resolve itself with discipline. If not, I do have exercises for stuff like that. This is really minor, and she's still young. She's only 6 months, right?
that's a relief.
So during the consultation, a young girl did come up and try to pet Ruthie, and then I approached and she barked and was kind of standoffish and stuff. So everything was, of course, pretty standard or typical of the nervous personality types. And they started their training, and we're at Oz Park. And as the daughter noted, Oz Park is the busiest park in the city. And this isn't even. Have you been here before?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how busy this gets.
Yeah, it's a very good
Right?
park in Chicago. Yeah,
Is it?
I learned that at my job.
Oh wow! Which is exactly why we like or love to work there, because we get everything from dogs, off-leash dogs, kids, scooters, rollerbladers, skateboarders, bikes, family parties, things like that, baseball games. A lot of distractions going on, which makes it the ideal place to train when you have the skill set to do so, because you're putting the owner in a very realistic and sometimes unrealistic, because some of my dog training clients come from quieter parts of the city. So it's like, if you can get it done here, you can get it done at home, no problem. So they just live a few blocks away, so they walk over always. But you can see with Ruthie, and for the first session, it's the typical back and forth stuff that we see, like we saw with Luna, who's also another nervous case that has started working with me as well. And it's a lot of back and forth, and she's kind of all over the place and stuff. And as we progress, you see her start to dial into the owner more, and locking in, needing less corrections, because we found her operating or working number, which is super important. Again, I can't stress enough, dogs bite each other. This is, that they communicate through physicality, which makes e-collar such an efficient tool, because we are using physicality appropriate to the dog's personality type and appropriate to the environment. And when done so correctly, very easy to achieve the level of focus that we're wanting within that 1 hour session. Granted that the owner does follow through and is taking the instructions and not feeling bad and kind of holding back on it, because that can inhibit the training, because they're being too soft on a dog, right? And we're not trying to be mean. So when we get nervous, anxious, or insecure dogs, people tend to lay off discipline because they don't want to make it worse. Now, if you do it incorrectly, you can, right? But dogs bite each other. They're very physical animals. We're not trying to be mean. We're not trying to be super tough on them, but we're treating them and we're treating them and we're giving them the discipline that another dog would. We're not babying them. Dogs don't baby each other. Dogs don't ease each other into things. You know, if a dog steps out of line at the dog park, the dogs go, they correct it, and then, you know, life goes on. So I take that very same approach, which is why I'm such an effective and efficient trainer, is because I approach it as if a dog were approaching it, and I use that kind of psychology. So from class 1 to class 2, huge change.
All right, so big change last week.
Yeah.
Very good. So now you can see why I just tell people to be collar. You know, it's in my opinion, the best approach, the most consistent approach in terms of what I know I can achieve. This is what they just coaching. I didn't touch it all.
Huge change. And when I walk up, you know, I mentioned something to the owners. They actually, when I walked up, had commented before we started recording, and she was like, "Do you see this? She's not moving. She's so calm. This and that." And then I was like, "Wait! Like, you know, I was catching on video." But that's why I mentioned being like, you know, big change. So they had noticed a huge, like, kind of 180 in terms of her behavior. And the mom notes like how calm she is, how much her behavior is.
And how's that nervousness going?
She's much calmer.
Yeah.
At home and everywhere.
Yep, sure.
But yeah, she seems calmer.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Excellent, yeah. So that's why when I came, I think during the consultation, I was like, when we do stuff like this, the first thing I always do is just formal heel, my style, because the discipline itself can settle the dog, the nervousness, and it's usually like stress, lack of structure. So I'm glad, like that's how we want it to work. It's not always like that. Very good.
Already just from 1 week of formal discipline through the e-collar, getting her that structure, teaching her how to focus, essentially giving her an off switch so that she's not always on edge, and then you kind of always feeding into that nervous type energy. And you see us walk, because there was a kind of, I think it was a bar mitzvah going on behind us, that's what you hear. And we ended up moving over by where the kids were playing, the kids' playground. There's a lot of kids running around, stuff like that, a lot of noise going on. And as we're walking to the new training location, you can see her just spot on, walking with the handler, walking with the owner, you know, right on her hip. And this was just after, again, one class, 1 hour of training at Oz Park, the busiest park in Chicago. Boom, right there, healing perfectly next to her owner. So they clearly did their job. They clearly did their homework, which I'm very happy about. And that's what it comes down to whenever we're looking to achieve results. Of course, I give the information, but the owner then has to follow through and do the homework. Otherwise, it's not going to be effective no matter how good your trainer is, okay? So the main thing I want to point out here is e-collar, again, is very safe to use, is super effective, very efficient, and very easy for the owner to learn in terms of the technology and the approach, because it's very much intuitive, especially nowadays with everything's at a button, you know, and it's very much common sense. So as long as they're willing to apply the training, you know, we're getting those results. You know, people are dissuaded either by people saying you're shocking your dog and all that stuff. It's propaganda to, again, deter you from using these tools. They're perfectly safe to use. I've built my career on this tool, which is exactly why I've been now just recording everything and putting it up, being super, fully and super transparent to everyone. And I tell them, like, if you want to know what we're about, go to our YouTube channel, watch our videos. Lesson ones are always great because you see both the dog and the handler have no idea of what to do, and I coach them through it, and we're getting that result at the end of every first class. Ruthie here, as I had predicted, and I had mentioned, like, you know, she should calm down with the discipline.
Like with her case, my assumption was the heel's going to resolve a lot of that stuff. And then whatever's lingering, like for instance, someone going to pet her, that's very different. Now, I would, depending on how the person approaches her, if they approach her correctly, I would say she's capable of being passive and not becoming barky because of the collar. See how relaxed she is right now? Just laying down.
Yeah, this is before you got here. She was like, let's get, I mean, she's tired too, but she was like, stay put.
Right. Yeah, the discipline settles the brain. Now she's like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do is just be here and be chill.
Which is what happened. It doesn't always happen to this degree. That's not realistic. Every dog is different. Some need more work and stuff. But this was just happened to be a very straightforward case. So I'm very happy to highlight this video, you know, to educate people. And I'll be doing others as well. We have a lot of other cases that we're getting a lot of good pieces of information and good examples to show everyone how effective e-collar is. So I'm Jesse with Canine Perspective, and this was another highlight video. Thank you for watching.
You know, so here what we should see is as we calm her down with discipline, you may not even see that response because she's not always like this now.
Yeah.
Now she's a lot more passive.
Yeah.
Okay,
She's more passive right now.
Yeah.
it's because of this.